Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa Ryan. My site is about learning to think in more empowered ways, taking responsibility, loving ourselves and receiving love through the process, and growing our light in this world. Sadly, some people don't grow very fast or just get stuck. They get stuck with their own fixed thoughts. This video asks the question, who are you or who am I when no one is watching? If you are a person who cares about who you really are, not just what you seem to be, then taking the risk of getting this honest is something to be proud of. It is courageous to look. I want us all to be able to say, how interesting. I'll explain that a little bit more later. We have a public self and a private self, or more hidden self. These versions of ourselves are often intermingled. Public actions can influence private values and beliefs. Similarly, a person's private life may be affected by their public reputation and image. The balance between private and public life is a complex and personal thing. Each person decides where to draw the line between what they share and what they keep to themselves. Today, I'm talking about what we keep to ourselves. Taking a hard look at ourselves is not second nature. We don't wake up and say, hey, I think I'll do that today. That's partly because not one of us has behaviors or thoughts that are blameless. We don't want to feel bad, so it's human nature to put on the rose-colored glasses when we look in the mirror. This is where a lot of people stop. It is a happy place, right? Well, it is. But our growth gets stunted if we never take the glasses off and get real. There is a saying, perfect is the enemy of good. That means that insistence on perfection often prevents implementation of good improvements. This applies to us personally. Sometimes we feel that if some aspect of ourselves won't look really great, we shouldn't look. But consciously allowing ourselves to consider where we act or think poorly allows for improvement. I couldn't get this real for many years because I didn't understand that the imperfect me was still an acceptable me. I think many people face this hurdle in self-honesty. For me, I have learned to listen to what Scripture says about me. I then understand that I am loved no matter what. I now understand that the imperfect me is still of great value. When I show love to others, I feel that value all the more. When our secret self closely matches our outer self, then our integrity is solid and we are strong. Secrets about ourselves, especially from ourselves, shut the door on becoming all that we could be. Even a slight shift in trajectory can land us in a very different spot. Wouldn't it be great if we actually kept our trajectory in line with who we wish to become? Wouldn't it be great to acknowledge that our own potential for being light in this world doesn't have limits? This can't happen without self-honesty. Let's not be afraid to take a look at where we need most to change and grow. Our outer self is what we present to the world at work, at school, or whenever we interact with others. It can be polished up and pretty, or guarded behind a grumpy and angry wall. No matter what we look like, it doesn't tell the whole story about who we are. Our private self includes our thoughts and behaviors when we are alone. For instance, if we're at work and grab a few notepads to take home, we are stealing. But don't worry, because we're all experts at justifying anything we want to do. I learned in acting class that if I played a villain, which was fun, by the way, that in my own character mind, I would always be justified. That's exactly what we do in real life. In the notepad's case, we could say to ourselves, lots of people take little things. But it's easy to see the real truth about what we do if we consider whether or not we wish others, in this case our boss, to see us do it. When our private action becomes public, the light comes on. I was in a McDonald's one day to get a drink. I told the lady working that the iced tea was out. She walked over, took the cup and straw and lid out of my hand and threw them in the trash. I wasn't happy about that. I asked her why she did that, and she said, "Oh, I'll get you another one." There was nothing wrong with the new cup she threw out. I just had tried to get tea with it. She went off, so that was the end of our conversation, but it bugged me, the same way it does if I specifically ask for one salt and get 20 thrown in a bag. Whoever owns that franchise pays for what gets wasted, and in turn, we ultimately pay for it in higher prices. And our world suffers with the massive amount of pollution and waste we pour into it. I just care, and I hope you do too. That lady did this mindlessly, but if she asked herself and cared if her behavior was thoughtful, she would do differently. Often, deep down inside, in spite of our rose-colored glasses, we don't feel good about ourselves. We don't want to look because we don't like what we'll see. But choosing to neglect self-assessment leaves a person stuck. The truth is that we're all very flawed, self-centered to varying degrees, and good at focusing on the mistakes of others. This behavior of ours is truly guilty behavior, but it's okay because every one of us is in the same boat. A balanced, self-loving perspective frees us up. False guilt is a condemning voice within that says we should be the exception to the rule and only find rosiness inside. False guilt likes to invite self-pity in, so kick it out and beware. Kicking it out means to not indulge in self-condemnation. For some listening, that might sound impossible, but really it isn't. If we understand that we are humans who have no hope of achieving perfection in this life, then we can sit back, take a hard look at ourselves, and say, how interesting. This is a lot different than hurling insults at ourselves, which is completely unproductive. Let's choose to look and simultaneously ban unhelpful thoughts. Here are a couple of examples. After looking within at one of our weaknesses, an unhelpful thought would say something like, "What is wrong with me that I blank so much or ever?" If you take a minute to think about it, you will know what the blank represents for you. For me, I can be quick to judge even when I don't have all the facts. I'm getting better though. After identifying something in ourselves, a helpful thought would be, "It's interesting that I do this as often as I do when I don't want to be that person. This behavior isn't something I admire in others either." Framing our observation this way isn't so threatening. So we practice. How interesting. I read in a book once that people don't love us for our perfection, but rather for our imperfections. I think there's more to this thought than just that one sentence, but somehow that thought opened new possibilities for me. I had grown into young adulthood subconsciously trying to put forward a perfect self. The thing I know now is that I probably didn't fool anyone at all. After I read that, though, I started allowing my vulnerable self to show more. It didn't put people off to know I had fears or that there were many things I couldn't do well. As a matter of fact, I learned that showing more of me to people I trusted let others know that they were free to do the same. Creating a safe space for people to be real is a beautiful thing. In reality, each of us has vulnerabilities, and I don't want teachers myself who don't acknowledge that. Identifying and accepting our flaws is the beginning step in growth. I can guarantee you that whatever your weaknesses are, they are shared by others. So it's okay to become more conscious. It takes a brave heart to be able to look at our own blunders and inadequacies, but that brave heart can be celebrated starting on day one. Once we actually are willing to see where we fall short, then we can set out to plan how we can do better in the future. We have to see before we can do anything. If we ask God for help, we will get it. One time a while ago, I decided to ask a 25-year friend of mine what she thought my greatest weakness was and what she thought my greatest strength was. I knew I had come a ways in growth if I could even ask the question without fearing her responses too much. I decided to just take in whatever she had to say to me, mull it over, and then use what I could to gain insight. The greatest strength she saw in me blew me away. What she said was so much better than what I expected. The part I feared, my greatest weakness, was simply this. She said, "You always want to have your ducks in a row." Wow, that wasn't bad at all. Years later, I remember that phrase when I am trying too hard to get things just right. I allow myself some scattered ducks now and then. The people who know us best see more of our inner selves than we might like them to. Because of this, they are privy to a lot of valuable information about us. Are you brave enough to ask what they see in you? If that's too threatening, then start by observing yourself and asking yourself what you already know on some level. Here are a couple tips to help yourself. 1. If you hear yourself rationalizing, stop and take a hard look at what is happening. Red flag. 2. Be a friend to yourself and accept your faults. Just set goals to improve. 3. When you do even a little better, give yourself some recognition. Cheer yourself on. 4. Consider yourself brave and wise. 5. Be patient with change and ask God for help. 6. Get accountable to someone else and tell them about your change goals. 7. Laughing at ourselves is great too. In my video, OMG, Laughing at Me, I talk about just how to do that. I really like the kind of person who cares about growth enough to watch this video through. That is you, friends. Together, we strive to improve ourselves, think better, and make our world brighter. Thank you for being beautiful.